I really want you to tell me more about what it means to help brands understand the next generation of consumers by empowering Gen Z and millennials to share their thoughts over video. Like, what's the problem you're
Yeah.
solving?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very simply, the problem we're solving is that the ways brands are talking to their consumers today,
Hmm.
I believe, is fundamentally broken. So if you think about this next generation, millennials, even Gen Zers, right, we're
Hmm.
transitioning to a world that is digital first.
Right.
And because it's digital first, my generation especially, as cliche as it sounds, our perceptions, attitudes, behaviors are changing at the speed of the internet, right? The
Hmm.
next viral TikTok.
Hmm.
But if you think about how brands are talking to their consumers today, it is definitely not built for this world, right? They're using things like focus groups and surveys. Like a focus group, for example, can take months, cost tens
Gosh.
of thousands of dollars to
Yeah.
talk to a dozen or so customers. So, what we're trying to solve for brands is in order to keep up with this digital native generation, you have to have the ability to talk and understand your consumers
Sure.
instantly. And that's what knit is all about. So that's kind of the opportunity we saw there, being part of Gen Z, and
Hmm.
we built knit to solve that.
And did you discover the problem because nobody was marketing to you properly?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of stumbled into the problem, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. So, as you mentioned, I'm one of my, I guess, my first startup ever was Feed a Friend, which was a Gen Z cost marketing agency. So
Hmm.
that was very much kind of a project I was working on throughout high school and a little bit in college. And yeah, that's where I would say I discovered that problem. Right,
Hmm.
in Feed a Friend's case, we were working with mostly regional kind of small local businesses, mostly restaurants, helping them market to Gen Z.
Hmm.
But then with Purpix, which is the second startup I started,
Hmm.
that kind of led to Knit. It was some of the world's best and biggest brands, and we realized that whether you're a marketer at a restaurant with 5 locations or you're the largest food manufacturer in the world, they're all running into very similar issues when it comes to talking to this younger audience and
Hmm.
understanding this younger
Hmm.
audience.
Interesting. So, in talking to the younger audience, are we talking B2C?
Yeah, most of our
Yeah,
customers today are B2C.
selling
We
B2C.
do
Okay.
have a lot of B2B, or we're starting to do more work in B2B, because I'm sure, as you can imagine, everyone is now with Gen Z kind of being in that, at least the adult 18 all the way up to 25. You have a lot of Gen Z folks entering the workforce as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So, as we talked about, you started Perpix when you were in high school,
Hmm.
and then I'd like to hear the story of the pivot or change to knit. Right. So you founded the
Yeah.
company in 2017, um, and between the two companies, you've taken about $5 million, and you're in
Mhm.
seed. So tell me about Perpix and how that moved into knit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like many brands, we were pretty impacted by the pandemic, and it was
Hmm.
a blessing in disguise for us. So, basically, with Purpix, what we had built was a really large network of what we call nano influencers. So,
Hmm.
people might have heard of it now. Back then, I think we were one of the first ones to do this, but a
Hmm.
nano influencer is pretty much your everyday person, people with less than 2,000 followers on Instagram or
Hmm.
social media.
Hmm.
And we had built a large network of Gen Z nano influencers. What we got really good at doing was helping brands kind of drive traffic to physical locations because of
Hmm.
how tight knit that nano influencers network was, right? So if you live in
Hmm.
LA, for example, most of the people following you in LA are probably, or that are following you are probably living in LA as well if you have these small followings. So
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
happened is over the pandemic, obviously, that completely upended our business, right? People were not going into their local Whole Foods as
Hmm.
much. They were delivery, getting most of their things delivered.
Hmm. Hmm.
This kind of forced us to kind of take a step back because we had a lot of customers that were like, we don't really have a need for this type of
Right.
platform anymore. And as we took a step back, it really we went to the customer and we said, what problems do you have today? How can we solve it? And the one thing we heard over and over again is we have no idea what customer behavior is going to look like tomorrow, let
Right.
alone the next month or 2 months from now with all the uncertainty in the pandemic. And that's
Hmm.
how we stumbled upon, the idea for Knit, which is, well, everyone is using video on social media to market themselves and the products that they were doing with Purpix. Why not use that same medium video to gather feedback instead to help answer some of these questions that they have?
Anish, can you give me an actual real life, real world example of a customer that you have and how they're using this and how they're marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're fortunate to work with some incredible brands today. Brands like JBL, the WNBA. I do a lot of work in sports with teams like the Minnesota Twins and the San
Hmm.
Antonio Spurs
Hmm.
as well. So, one of our customers, their consumer electronics company, they'll concept test a lot of their marketing on our platform, right? So, we actually did an entire report on this. You can check it out on our website.
Hmm.
But it is really hard to market to Gen Z. They will call you out on your BS
Right.
really fast.
The entitled
The best,
generation.
yeah, exactly. We work with this brand to kind of gut check their content, right? So
Okay.
before they launch an Instagram ad, before they launch new
Mm-hmm.
photos for a new product, whatever it might be, they can get a quick gut check and see, is this resonating with Gen Z? Are we missing the mark here?
Mm,
Or is it really engaging them? And there was no way to do that before really well, right? Because it's really hard to go out and talk to 300 people.
right.
But through our platform, you can upload that content and get video feedback from 150, 300 people within a couple hours, couple days.
Oh, so you're really kind of doing the analytics on the back end of this for them or on the front.
Exactly. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
helping
got it.
brands not only get access to this generation, but
Yeah.
then gather that feedback and turn that feedback into insights through our technology.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. So how do you find I mean, where do your prospects come from? Where
Yeah,
are you finding
absolutely.
them?
So when we started the company, it was very much kind of boots on the ground. So
Hmm.
we went out, we recruited our first couple thousand users pretty manually, actually, through things like referral marketing, events on primarily college campuses, and then social media marketing. As we've grown now, we also now partner with third parties that have existing communities of people.
Hmm.
And what we've really focused on more and more is the technology driving this,
Yeah.
right? So our long-term vision is it doesn't matter if you're talking to Gen Zers on our platform or if you're
Hmm.
talking to employees at your company, whatever it might be, whoever that community is, we just want to help you gather video from that community and analyze that data because we think video is going to be the primary form. It already is. It's 82% of internet traffic today, but the
Really?
primary form of how people communicate on the internet
Wow.
more and more.
That's so interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the internet, I think, is just going through another cycle where it's maturing
Hmm.
even more,
Hmm.
right? So if you look at how the internet has evolved, it started off with text and numbers. That's how it's primarily been for the last couple of years. But
Yeah.
video and multimedia in general, including VR and AR, I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
everyone from Facebook is changing their name to the metaverse now.
Mm.
It's just so much more rich. You can get so much more out of it. It's kind of that old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I
Yeah.
think we're just kind of in the next phase of that.
Carol Schultz here. Thanks for watching this excerpt from Authentically Successful. The conversation doesn't end there. So if you want to hear this episode in full and all my conversations with many other successful founders and CEOs, please visit verticalelevation.com/podcast.